Time to do what?
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, aka The Shy Kid, and you are listening to the Shy Kid podcast presented by the Give Us a Shot Network. So make sure you give us a like, give us a follow, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. The link is in the bio below. You already know this, but let's get into it, man. We have an amazing episode for you guys tonight. We're talking WNBA, Angel Reese, and the Chicago Sky, and Caitlin Clark making WNBA history. And of course, the Chicago Cubs. So many different conversations, so many different storylines going around right now for our Cubs, who are currently sitting at, what did I write? I said 39-48. If you told me at the beginning of the season we would be last place in the division and 13 games back, I would have told you were crazy. But before we get into anything, I want to say first and foremost, happy 4th of July to everybody who celebrates. I know we got a lot of people from all over the world, but today is an amazing day for not only us as Americans, but us as people. I think, we don't talk about it enough, about, the liberties that we get. And I understand it's a lot of shit that's fucked up, a lot of things that aren't the way they're supposed to be. And I completely understand and hear all of that. But once a year we get a dope little experience. I gotta really quick before we get into anything. I don't know who's in my comments right now. I gotta handle this. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, you're done, buddy. You're out of here, guy. I'm sorry, bro. Bro is literally trying to scam the whole fucking. That's crazy. If you like the wildest thing to me, and I know we're live on the network right now too. We're literally, bro, like we're live on all these different platforms right now. And I'm sure this looks horrible for me, like when we play this back. But like, bro, you like what? You're 2 a.m. You're scamming on TikTok in my live. Like, be so for real, bro. That is so crazy. So anybody who just saw those messages, I do apologize. But man, let's get into it. Let's get into it because we got a lot of shit we got to talk about tonight. Obviously, our dog Angel Reese making WNBA history again, breaking Candace Parker's single season record, most consecutive double doubles, not only in rookie WNBA history, but in WNBA history as a whole. She said 10 wasn't good enough. Now it's at 11 after their victory against the Atlanta Dream the other night. But, let's get into that. Let's talk about Angel as an all-star this season, averaging 13 points per game and 11 rebounds with 1.4 steals per game. She's been great. And we'll throw in a little assist. She's got a little lob city in her here and there. But, man, Angel getting this honor alongside Caitlin Clark, who for the first time in their entire careers are going to be teammates, I think is incredible. I think it's dope. I mean, what we're seeing right now is history in the making. If you've seen my video, it went a little viral not too long ago talking about what we've seen thus far. I've talked about the WNBA in history's past and what the WNBA is currently becoming. We talk about it all the time. The NBA in the late 70s, early 80s was on the verge of going bankrupt. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson changed that. And I think that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that the rivalry is the same or their positions are the same, but it's very similar. It's very similar into the form of maybe the WNBA wasn't going bankrupt, but 110%. They are now seeing revenue that they've never seen before. Charter flights, celebrities, rappers, athletes, everybody around the sun. I mean, we're talking 17,000 tickets sold in a meaningless game on a Tuesday night. I mean, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are creating history. And the biggest part of all of it that I love is the majority of this is all driven through the media. The majority of this is all driven through the fans. They're not the ones going at each other's throats every single night. They're not the ones that are starting all of this, this Angel versus Caitlin drama. I think they're just fully engulfed in winning. And that's all both of them care about. So seeing them being able to accomplish this right now has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm so happy for Angel. And I've been working with her, I'm covering her in Sky Media for the last few months now. And I continue to say this every single time because it's so important and it's so real. She is one of them, 110% one of them. There is no way around it. I mean, Angel, an amazing human, an amazing teammate, and an amazing hooper at that, and an amazing athlete. I mean, she is 100 times more in tune to who she is than the media perceives, than the national media, I should say, perceives, because we do have those such as Stephen Gardner, Brian Teague, Carly Bell, and so many others who do an amazing job at painting her in the real light and who she truly is. I hope I try to do the same. But the national media wants to paint her out to be the bad guy, to be the villain, to be the one complaining. It's, she hates Caitlin Clark and all this. But if you know Angel and you've been following her throughout this journey, I mean, I bet everybody in that Sky beat can tell you the same thing. She has been nothing short of amazing. She has been an amazing human. So, I mean, this is a huge honor for her. Can't wait to see her in the All-Star game. I believe this is the first time a rookie has made the All-Star game since 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, man, I mean, it's incredible. It's dope. It's something that, not only one of them made it, but both of them made it. And that's just history continuing to show us that they are going to be the next faces of the WNBA. So I'm super thrilled, super excited. Obviously, Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Kalia Copper, and Enrique are obviously going to be doing their thing as well. So I mean, we got a lot of storylines, and I loved what I loved what Clark said about not trying to make it about them, not trying to make it about Clark versus Reese or who did better in the All-Star game. It's just about the All-Star game, and I think that's really dope. So yeah, man, we're getting into it. We're having a real conversation tonight. Let's get into it, talking about the Chicago Cubs. Obviously, if you're tuning in, we obviously have to talk about the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese, because that is history in the making. We are going to have a full episode breakdown Friday night, post, I believe they're in Seattle, post Seattle Storm game. We're going to be talking about that, the Atlanta Dream, so much more. So make sure you follow us on the Shy Kid podcast or on the Give Us a Shot network for every single breakdown, every single game. Appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We had to get that out the way, though, because we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of baseball to talk about. We got a lot of things to get into. Obviously, I wish we can continue just talking about Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese, but unfortunately, we got to talk about the rest of the teams in Chicago. Shout out to the Chicago Blackhawks. Obviously, had a phenomenal draft, and obviously Teuvo Teravainen back in the city, 2015 Stanley Cup champion. So that's amazing to see as well. Hard Knocks just dropped with the New York Giants, and it makes me even more excited to see what the Chicago Bears are about to do with Caleb Williams. But today was pretty special, or yesterday, I should say. I drove as fast as I could. Not really, for legal reasons, to Wrigley Field at the Cubs store. They had Lyrical Lemonade Night against the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, obviously, as you can see, I'm rocking out the hoodie right now. Got a t-shirt as well. But this hat, man, this hat right here is everything. Pardon the hair. I know I need a cut. I got the Rocky Balboa cut right now. This hat is everything right here. If you can't see it, I mean, it's just incredible. You got the Lyrical Lemonade box right on the side, the back of it. I think the back would have been cool if instead of Lyrical Lemonade, if you have that writing right there, and then obviously instead of the Cubs logo on the bottom, you could have put like a lemon right there. But the front, I mean, it's sexy. It's dope. It reminds me of a Ryan Sandberg type hat, old school 80s, 70s Cubs, 90s Cubs. The practice bills where the hat brim used to be red. I think they killed it. I think it looks incredible. Just wanted to get that out the way. I mean, we got all our Lyrical Lemonade drip right now. And I don't care. I saw a lot of people in the comments talking about, you in high school, bro, you in high school, bro, that's kid shit, bro. That's college boy stuff. I don't I think it's one of the hardest logos for any festival in the game. Every time I try to turn my mic back up, it turns itself back down. So I apologize if I'm talking a little quiet. We got to get that fixed. I'm going to talk to Jerem about it later. But let's get into it, man. Let's have a real conversation about our Chicago Cubs right now. I think the big thing for me with the Chicago Cubs is trying to figure out who we are supposed to be, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish in the 2024 season. And I think once you figure that out, once you have that real conversation, that's when things start getting a hell of a lot easier. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest issues for the Cubs throughout the next couple of weeks, is really just understanding who we're supposed to be. Now, I believe it was John Morosi who was on MLB Network and said that the Chicago Cubs could potentially be interested in trading Jameson Taillon and Nico Hoerner at the deadline. Seattle Mariners kind of were that sneaky favorite to land one of the two. more so Nico Hoerner. Now, I know that that comes to a surprise of many. Nico Hoerner signed a 3-year extension just last season, coming off a Gold Glove year where he batted over 280. I mean, you're looking at a guy who throughout his career, I mean, we could pull up the numbers right here. Nico Hoerner throughout his career as a Chicago Cub has batted under 280 twice. That was 222 in 2020 and 241 in 2024 with a career 273 batting average and a 833 pardon me, I don't even know what I'm reading, and a 7,130 OPS. That's one of the biggest things right here. And 85 stolen bases. That's what I wrote. I can't even read my own writing. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Is this is a guy who is on track to a Hall of Fame career. And normally I don't say that a lot about a lot of second basemen who don't hit for power. But when you're a Chicago Cub and you're playing at Wrigley Field, there is no doubt in my mind that he could be a Hall of Famer. So I think, you look at it for what it is. You understand this season thus far, you would say is at a loss. And even though it's very similar to the record we had in the first half of last year, we just don't feel that same spark, that same kinetic energy, that same vibe that maybe things can turn around. Craig Counsell kind of just goes out there and obviously he puts out the roster and the lineups that he does with a limited rotation and a very limited, very scarce bullpen. But the reality is, whether it's the starters or the bullpen or the closer, what have you, the offense just isn't clicking. The offense isn't clicking. Our big names aren't hitting. Dansby Swanson has looked like a shell of himself. I understand he had a knee injury earlier in the season that put him on the IL for a few weeks. But the reality of the situation is this. I understand Patrick Wisdom, Dansby Swanson, Seiya Suzuki, Cody Bellinger, Nico Hoerner, Justin Steele, everybody and their mama has been injured at some point throughout this season. But you got to produce. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're hurt, you're hurt. So then don't play. But if you're on the field, I have to evaluate you for what you're giving us. And right now, that evaluation is shit. In the point blank period, there's no other way around it. This team hasn't been good. This team cohesively isn't playing well together. Christopher Morel isn't even hitting his weight damn near. Yeah, he's leading the team in home runs, and that's great. I mean, but he's not getting on base. Ian Happ, 1 month, he's one of the worst players in baseball. The next month, he's one of the hottest. He has a no-trade clause, so we don't know what to fucking do with him. It's frustrating. There's a lot of things going down. Now, I want to stay focused on potentially selling at the deadline and why that's a legitimate conversation, why we might lose out on guys like Nico Hoerner. Like I said, a career 273 batting average. You're looking at an OPS of a 713 OPS. I mean, how could you trade a guy who not only has great numbers, but just came off winning a Gold Glove with Dansby Swanson? Both of them. I mean, you had a pair, one of the best up-the-middle defenses in all of baseball. Why are you going to get rid of that? The realistic opportunity here for the Chicago Cubs is to try to get ready now players. You have all the prospects in the world. I believe you have, 7 top 100 prospects right now. 2 of them are already in the league, and Pete Crow Armstrong, and you have Michael Busch. Now, Ben Brown is also in that conversation as well. So he's on the IL right now, but hopefully we'll get Ben back sometime very soon. But, the reality for me with the Chicago Cubs team is we're going nowhere fast. That's what it's going to come down to. That's what I'm looking at for this team. I think when you look at a move for Nico Hoerner, batting 241 in 2024 with 4 home runs, a 662 OPS with, I believe, 14 stolen bases, if I wrote that correctly. He's not having a horrible year, but it's definitely not what we're accustomed to. This isn't Nico Suave. This isn't the guy that we know. Not only is he going to win a Gold Glove at second base, but he is going to be one of the best hitters in baseball, purely. I mean, yeah, maybe he's not hitting dingers left and right, but he's doing his job and he's doing what we need him to do. That's what he does. He gets on base, Billy Bean style, hardball or money ball. I'm all over right now. But no, man, I mean, we talk about it and I understand where a lot of fans are coming from. We can't just sit here and bank on every single prospect. Brennan Davis had a really hot start for spring training. Thought maybe this is really going to be the year. Former number 1 prospect in the Cubs system back in 2020, 2019, 2020. And now he has another back injury. And as much as I love Brennan and I want to see him have success, you also just can't ignore that, some of these guys might not pan out to who we want them to be at this very moment. Maybe some point down the line, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 years down the line, they pan out. But at this very point in time, we are trying to win ball games. You don't make Craig Counsell the highest paid manager in baseball to go 39 and 48 at the half and then you trade away all your pillars to a championship caliber team that almost made the playoffs last year. But why you can have this conversation about guys like Nico is there's a hot commodity for second basemen right now. I mean, there aren't a lot out there that are going to give you what Nico Hoerner gives you every single day, whether it's 120 on a Friday or 120 on a Monday, whether it's 7 p.m. on a Sunday or 7 p.m. on a Monday. He is in there like swimwear. Nico Hoerner's doing his thing. Now he's having a down year. You just extended him to a 3-year deal. This is the first year of that deal. So you understand this isn't a rental. You are going to get your bang for your buck for Nico Hoerner. But why is it important? What is the key pieces right now that we're seeing that makes this even a conversation? It's James Triantos, Arizona Fall League MVP, top 100 player in baseball in the minor league system. He's ranked number 53 at this current time in Double-A for the Tennessee Smokies. He's been phenomenal. Triantos, who I've been a very good friend of, we've had him on the podcast before. We're always rooting for him. 5'11", 21 years old, batting .308 on the year with 7 home runs, 32 RBIs, and 29 stolen bases with an .809 OPS, a career .289 batting average with a .774 OPS. He is literally Nico Hoerner 2.0 with more pop in his bat. So that's really where I'm looking at it from that perspective. James Triantos will be in AAA by the end of this year, probably by the All-Star break. So you could definitely see him coming up in September and being a big part of this ball club towards the stretch. I think Triantos, if I had to put a ceiling on him, I think has a much higher ceiling than Nico Hoerner. I think his floor is Nico Hoerner, to be completely honest. I don't know if the defense translates the same way, but we've seen a lot from Triantos thus far. I've seen him at third base, seen him at short, seen him at second. They've even had him in center field from time to time, which if you know, you know what I mean? If you're watching these games, you see him in the outfield a lot. They're trying to make him, more diverse, more athletic, more accustomed to the versatility of what he's able to bring you. You can plug him in wherever you want him, DH, and outfield, infield, wherever. I think it's going to be really important down the stretch to get a guy like James Triantos in the friendly confines as soon as possible. Unfortunately, when you have an up-the-middle defense already with Cody Bellinger, Dansby Swanson, and Nico Hoerner, that makes it really hard. Now, you already locked up Nico Hoerner and Dansby Swanson. So what are you going to do? You have to make a move. If you're Jed Hoyer and you truly believe in guys like James Triantos, Owen Casey, Pete Crow Armstrong, you have to get guys like Cody Bellinger, Ian Happ, maybe even a Nico Hoerner off the books. Now, I want to say this in the best way possible. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that I think trading Nico Hoerner is a good idea. John Morosi, respected. I love everything he said. If the Seattle Mariners want to give us their number one prospect for Nico Hoerner, or maybe even a stud, who knows? Maybe that's the move. For myself, I would hold on to both Dansby Swanson and Nico Hoerner, and I would plug James Triantos in at the DH spot. That's just me personally. But I also understand if Jed has other ideas. Jed Hoyer didn't draft Nico Hoerner. That was still the Theo Epstein era out of Stanford. I believe 2018 he was drafted, and then 2018 he's in the big. So it's like, you really don't know what we're seeing right now from that. I think the idea of Nico Hoerner getting traded is blasphemy. And as a fan, and you're frustrated and you want answers. You know what I mean? Everybody wants Jed to get fired. Everybody says Jed's seat is the hottest seat in baseball right now. And I hear that. And I understand where everybody's coming from. But you also have to understand it from a manager standpoint, from a front office standpoint. We understand this is 3 years into the rebuild, the quote unquote rebuild of trading the core in 2021 and at the halfway point. I get it. You're 3 years in, and now you might trade more of the core in Cody Bellinger and Nico Hoerner. That's going to piss off a lot of fans. Period. I mean, it's going to frustrate the fuck out of a lot of people. And there's no real other way to get around that. And I think, when we really break that down and understand that it just feels like we're taking steps backwards in the wrong direction. I can get behind, trading guys like Mark Leiter Jr. or Tyson Miller at the deadline and get top prospects the same way we got Ben Brown for Dave Robertson, the same way, we've done this time and time again. We're getting top tier guys, the Craig Kimbrell trade. I mean, we've done this for years, and I'm not too against trading away relievers. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, not to say that, you could just pick one up off the street, because obviously, we've seen what happens when you do that. We have one of the worst bullpens in all of baseball, but we also have one of the worst offenses. So something needs to give in. Something needs to change. If that is Nico Hoerner getting traded to the Seattle Mariners or another team, I mean, that's a conversation for a different day, but I'm going to be honest, and I've worked in minor league baseball the last 3 years. I have reported to AA, AAA, single A affiliates of the Chicago Cubs organization. I've told the stories of James Triantos and Brennan Davis and Matt Mervis and Ben Brown and so many others. Listen, I'm going to tell you straight up, Triantos is one of them. Triantos is one of them, and there's no other way around saying that. I truly believe James Triantos can be a pillar to a championship team. I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass because I want to say that the Cubs have a plan, even if they don't. I'm telling you from my personal eyes of seeing this kid ball. I'm telling you from talking to him, hearing his story, hearing his perspective on the way he moves, the way he articulates the game, the way he comprehends not only the game, but workouts and mental health. He works harder than anyone. He's 21 years old. So I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for seeing Triantos at the big league level. I truly believe his ceiling is higher than Nico Hoerner's. Do I want Nico Hoerner off this team? God, no. I believe he's one of the captains of this team. But unfortunately, just like Justin Steele said, we got to wake the fuck up. And sometimes if guys stay sleeping, you got to move on. I mean, you can't just wait for everybody to wake up. Yeah, I mean, life moves on. Whether you're taking a nap or taking an 8-hour sleep, the world is moving. Period. And the league is moving. With or without us right now, the league is moving. The Brewers, Pirates, how could I even say this? The Reds and the Cardinals are all ahead of us right now. We are 5th in the whole division, 13 games back. You got to do something. So I think for me, I trust James Triantos to be able to come up here and make everybody forget about Nico Hoerner. As much as I love Nico Hoerner, I believe Triantos would do that. And depending on what you get in exchange, maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth it. If Seattle wants to go on a fake run, because I truly don't believe Seattle has what it takes to win a championship. But if they want them that bad and they're willing to overpay for a guy who's locked up on the next 3 years, I'm here for it. I'm here to entertain it. What are we getting? Because here's the thing: if we're just getting a number one prospect, if we're just getting a couple mid-tier to high-level prospects in their system, I don't really want it. I want an MLB ready now player. That's what it comes down to. We can't just keep trading for prospects. You know what I mean? Let's be real. You look back on it for what it was. You trade away Anthony Rizzo for Kevin Alcantara. Okay, cool. Kevin Alcantara, pardon me. You trade away Chris Bryant for Caleb Killian and Alexander Canario, who is a strikeout machine, and Caleb Killian is injured. And when he has been in the league, he hasn't been great. So strong spring training, but hasn't been great at the big leagues. So your best player, your rookie of the year, your MVP, your World Series champion who made the final out, those two guys haven't become anything. Trade away Javier Baez and Trevor Williams for Pete Crow Armstrong. Pete's been all right. I mean, at the MLB level, that's all I could say is all right. He hasn't been great. Amazing defensive center fielder. Amazing at the base paths, stealing bases left and right. Can't hit that well. The home runs haven't translated. The power hasn't translated. The contact's getting there. A lot better than 0-10, what we saw last September. The reality is, if you trade Nico Hoerner away for more prospects, Jed, that's your ass. Period. That is your ass. There's no other way around that. Now, am I expecting Gilbert or one of your starting pitchers, one of your aces? Probably not. But we got to get something. And I don't know what that is. That's beyond my pay grade. Maybe we can dissect that, break that down. But for a guy like Nico Hoerner to be having a down year, like I said, you look at Nico's career, two times he batted under 280. 2020 batted 222, 241 in 2024. Batting over 280 to 300 every year with Gold Glove defense in second base. You just can't grab that every single day. You know what I mean? I understand he's not hitting 20-plus home runs a year. I understand he doesn't have a lot of power in his bat. But, getting rid of a guy like Nico Suave definitely hurts, especially when I just paid $200 back in April for his City Connect jersey, the Wrigleyville. Respect our neighborhood. If they get rid of him, I'm going to lose my fucking shit. I really am. I really am. There's no other way around it. This Lyrical Lemonade hoodie's great, but I'll tell you what, 200 schmackaroons for a guy who got traded 2 months later after re-signing a 3-year deal the year before, I'll lose my shit. I'll tell you what. But a guy who I think realistically is going to get moved at the deadline, I don't think there's a room for conversation. I don't think there's room to even say that there's a possibility that he remains on this team. That's how confident I am. Cody Bellinger, belly bombs all day long. You love to see it. But Belly, I mean, it just hasn't been great. Last year, comeback player of the year. Great. Love to see it. 1-year deal with the Chicago Cubs, 2-year if he accepted his player option, which he didn't. Scott Boras client. Makes sense. 307 batting average, 26 home runs, 97 RBIs, and an 881 OPS. He's been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. Several stolen bases. I mean, he was incredible. Gold glove defense in center field and first base every single day, and the captain of this team. Belly was everything. I mean, I was there against the Red Sox when he hit a grand slam. How many belly bombs have I seen this year? I was there in April. I forgot who he played in April. He hit that towering blast. We were all chanting his name, and it was beautiful. The career of Cody Bellinger in a Chicago Cubs uniform has been great. This year, batting .274 with 9 home runs, 36 RBIs, and a .761 OPS. Obviously, the numbers have come down a little bit. .307 in a comeback year. That's phenomenal. The thing about Cody is this, and I want to ask everybody in the chat who's watching right now, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, give us a shot, or on TikTok. Are you willing to do another offseason of Scott Boras? I think that's the question. And is it even worth it when you have a situation right now where Owen Casey looks like the best hitting prospect that the Chicago Cubs have? P. Crow Armstrong is already here. Kevin Alcantara. You have guys like, Alexander Canario, Brennan Davis. The list goes on. Cole Roedier. I mean, we can do this all day. The Cubs have outfielders up the ass. That's what it is. And Belly, to be a free agent again at the end of the year, dragging us through the mud all offseason through Scott Boras. Obviously, Belly had no part in that. He's just, he's just a client to one of the worst and best agents in all of baseball. But if Belly's just going to walk at the end of the year and guys like Owen Casey and PCA and Alcantara are going to be ready come spring, why not get something for him now, especially when you're 13 games back, especially when you're 38, or what are you, 39 and 48? I mean, it's the real conversation. You guys, I mean, if I'm a hater, if I'm bugging right now, you let me know. But in my personal opinion, if Cody Bellinger was traded tomorrow and come July, August, Owen Casey came up and started raking, I would have no problem with it. P. Crow Armstrong gets to start in center every single day. Maybe you trade away Mike Talkman as well. Maybe you keep Mike, who knows, whatever you end up doing, Palatine Pounder, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think I'm a lot more interested in trading Cody Bellinger than I am Nico Hoerner. I guess that's the conversation starter right there. Because Nico is a pillar. He's been here since the jump. He's been here through the Theo Epstein era to the Jed Hoyer era. He's played with the core. He's played with the new core. He's going to be playing with the future core. Keep saying the word core. Very important that you surround that young core with winners. We've talked about it before, why it's important to bring in a World Series MVP, a World Series champion in a guy and an MVP in Cody Bellinger. I don't believe he was a World Series MVP. I believe he's an MVP and a World Series champion. Pardon me. Sorry. But I think it's very important, man. It's very important to surround yourself around winners. Dansby Swanson wins a championship with the Braves. He's already a Gold Glover. Wins another one here last year. Nico Hoerner, he's a Gold Glover. He understands what it takes to win. He's hitting over 280 every single year like his life depends on it. If he was water, he'd be the Atlantic because he is doing it. I think for me, trading Nico might feel like a mistake right now. But again, like I said, guys like James Triantos are absolutely incredible. So I don't know. It's a tricky conversation. I don't really know what direction the team is going to go into. Obviously, John Morosi also mentioned Jameson Tyone could be a mentionable name to be potentially traded at the deadline. Get the fuck out of here. I'm okay with that one. I have no issue. You have guys like Cade Horton on the rise, number one prospect in the Cubs system, at pitching prospect. You have Ben Brown, Jordan Wicks, Shota Imanaga, Justin Steele. Kyle Hendricks, the professor, is still here. Don't see him getting traded at the deadline. I think they want to ride that out into the sunset. 10-year service time with the Chicago Cubs organization. Don't see them wanting to mess that up, letting him, finish his career on top. But, we got so many young arms, so many young talents coming up. I don't think anybody's really safe. We even talk about Christopher Morel. I don't even think Christopher Morel's safe. BJ Murray's tearing it up. He was in the All-Stars Future game last year. He's playing third base for the Iowa Cubs right now. Matt Shaw is on the rise. We all know Matt Shaw had an amazing spring training. I mean, it's first round pick. So, there's a lot of different ways this can go, man. I don't think anybody's safe. Obviously, between Miguel Amaya, Moises Balestros could come up at any point in time. Nitto ain't the guy. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, Amaya is not the guy. That's just what it comes down to. So I don't think anybody's safe. I really don't. I really don't. And, I do want to say this, though. I don't think Craig is bad. But I do want to give my apologies to David Ross, because we are in the same position right now with one of the best managers in baseball that we were in last year. And that's not on David Ross, and that's not on Craig Counsell. That is on this front office for putting this team together, putting this roster together. So there's not a lot to say. There's not a lot of things we can do. I think if the rumors are true that Nico Hoerner is actually being shopped, I truly do believe that James Triantos can come in and fill those shoes, if not have a higher ceiling than Nico currently has today. I truly do believe that. But in that same breath, if Jed Hoyer trades him away for more prospects, we are taking backward steps in the wrong direction for what this rebuild was supposed to be at the first half of 2021. You trade the core away at the deadline of 21, and you're trading the core away at the deadline of 24. Not saying it's a fireable offense, but it's definitely something that the Ricketts have to take note of. That's just my personal opinion. If you want to convince me that we're trading away James Triantos, if you want to convince me that we're trading away Cody Bellinger because he's on a one-year deal and you're not really wanting to deal with it because guys like PCA and Owen Casey are on the rise, that's fine. If you're trading away Jameson Tyone just because you got a lot of young arms coming up and you just don't really want to deal with them anymore, it's a bad contract then, it's a bad contract now, I understand it. If you trade away Nico Hoerner, and guys like James Triantos don't pan out, and those prospects you get in return don't pan out or don't see the field in 2024, and Nick Madrigal is playing second base, Miles Mastrobuoni's playing second base, you're going to have hell on your hands. That's just me personally, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys being here tonight, man. Make sure you hit that follow button if you haven't already. We just hit over 52,000 followers on TikTok. So I just want to say I love and appreciate every single one of you guys for being here, for always staying tuned in, always keeping me up to date, keeping me wealthy, keeping me mentally just blessed. So I thank you guys for being here. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, make sure you click the link in the bio below. Check out our other pages. Check out our other shows. We have so many shows fully directed towards specific like MLB show. We have the network MLB show, the network WNBA, NBA, NHL, WWE, NFL, everything around the sun, and then other podcasts as well. You can find myself, Mike Hughes, aka The Shy Kid, at The Shy Kid on Instagram and TikTok, or follow us on Give Us a Shot Network. Until then, appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Peace. Happy 4th of July.